citizen, kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen. Blessings, greetings, kingdom citizens of Wisconsin. This is your host, Dr. David D. King, and I just want to say to each and every one of you guys, it is a blessing to be with you. It is truly a blessing to be with you. I hope you are having a wonderful time on this Thursday night. And yes, let me say it again. And yes, and let me say it one more time. And yes, we are back, Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin. I have my friend with me, you guys, and I'm going to introduce her in 1 minute. I just got to say right here, the hottest book out today is Kingdom Colonization, and it is written by a kingdom author. It is an awesome book. Get your copy today. I'm telling you, you will be blessed. I have pastors giving a grade of an A for the book. I have those that are not pastors giving an A for the book. The book is going all over the country, and we now have it on Kindle. You can just go to Kindle and get you a copy of this book. This book is a blessing, and I guarantee it will change your life. So I just wanted to get that out there before I go any further. And you guys, I just want y'all to know one thing. There is a mama bear, a woman that will chew you up and spit you out when it comes to her children and their freedom. This woman will cut you so low that you can sit on a dime and swing your legs. And I'm telling you, she is what we call the constitutional queen. So y'all say hello to Miss Sarah.
Hello.
Did you like that? I knew you liked that.
Yeah, it's good. I always love listening to your introductions because you get very, very creative.
No, it'd be like, okay, what are you gonna say today? What are you gonna say?
How's he gonna put me up for everybody to see?
I know. Is he gonna make it nice? And if I ever go just plain, then you know
something's wrong.
Something is wrong, and you need to say, "Hey, are you okay? Are you feeling good? What's really going on?" But I am excited about today because not because of the political rhetoric and whatever happened in the election and things like that, but I'm excited, and this is something that I want us to talk about today. I am excited that we have now an opportunity to get people to focus on local government. On local government. If we ever want to take our country back, if we ever want our country to be an amazing country, then we have to take our local governments back. And so what I want from you, since you are who head is that?
That's my son, Nathan.
Hey, Nathan.
You want to say hi?
Hello.
Hey, Nathan. And so as a mom, how you doing?
I'm 4.
I'm 5. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
As a mom, as a person that's working in local government, I think, one of the things that we need to really address the importance. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. In Milwaukee, on Tuesday, 462,990 people voted.
Wow.
In the city of Milwaukee.
Wow.
Earlier this year, only 71,000.
For the local elections. Yep.
For the local elections.
Yep. It shows just how upside down and inside out our perspective is on the whole idea of how God and how the founders wanted us to govern America.
And and that's something that I really believe that we should spend some time to get people to understand. And here's why I'm saying that. I got some texts, and I'm sure you did too, during this campaign. Well, one of the texts I got says that if Donald Trump wins, corporate are buying up houses in your neighborhood and they're going to raise up rent. And I said back in a text, and you know me, I'm always going to respond. I said, I'm sorry, but that is a local issue.
Yep.
It's not a federal issue.
Yep, exactly.
And so we play on words, or we play on not knowing. There's the pine cone.
Hi, Stacy.
The pine cone queen is on. And so
did I tell you for our anniversary we bought out the pine cone? We bought like one of everything and we brought it home and the kids were in heaven.
Wait a minute. You went to the pine cone?
It was, yeah. We did. It was a while ago though. It was in the summer, so.
Well, I'm still kind of upset because you know what? You know what the other one did?
What?
I ain't even gonna call her name because I'm upset with her. But
oh no!
On her way down to Pennsylvania, because I think that's where she was going, right? Pennsylvania.
Yep. Pennsylvania.
She stopped at the pine cone, took a picture, and showed me that she's at the pine cone.
Nice.
Nice.
And she didn't stop by and give you anything?
No. Went straight through.
Oh, no. Next time we're in Milwaukee, I promise you we will stop by the pine cone and bring you something.
Yeah. Stacy need to come to these Kingdom classes. Oh, I forgot to announce those, but I'll announce it at the end. But Stacy need to come to the Kingdom classes and bring the teacher some pine cone.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, right? So let's get back to local government for a minute, because you know me and you, we'll go everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Especially once we mention the pine cone.
I know. You mention the pine cone, we just lose it. But from a mother standpoint, okay, I'm going to have you do it from a person in local government, but I'm really hurt. I don't know why she hurt, but she needs to bring pine cone. But from a mother standpoint, talk about how important mothers should really start to get into local government.
Yeah. So, okay, where do I start? Goodness gracious. That's a big topic. So here's a good example. We sat through a school board, their annual meeting, and we got completely just bulldozed by the approval of the budget, which included about, what was it? Is almost $500,000. So $500,000 worth of money that was going to be going to a school-run daycare center. Now, we had people who showed up from the community who were asking logical, rational questions like, how is this money going to be spent? You know, what are the requirements for the people who are going to be running this place? What are the, what's the regulations? All of those things. And we were told, basically, you approve this budget and we will tell you once the committee has been formed to decide what we're going to do with the money. So yeah, this is the way even local government works. They get an inch and they will take 50 miles. And so, I'm a homeschool mom. I have nothing to do with the public school district in our area, especially in our area, because it's a failed system. It's garbage. And I am also a tax-paying citizen. And so therefore my money is going to fund this garbage. And I have every right to, as a mother whose children are going to be growing up with these poorly educated children in the community, or I should say poorly indoctrinated children in the community, my kids are going to be growing up with them. We're going to be, I don't know how long God has us in this particular community or whatever the case may be, but no matter what community I'm in, I'm paying taxes towards the school district, towards the county budget, towards all of these things. And so I have not only a right, but I have a duty to show up at these things and to ask the questions and to challenge the system, because these people are elected officials that are close enough for me to kick. And I include myself in this when we make really bad decisions for the community, right? And the problem is that we have so many people, and I have to say this as a caveat, especially in the church, who are like, Jesus is coming again soon. I don't have to be involved in politics. Oh, and in the meantime, their community is falling apart. Crime rates are going up, and their money is being spent on abortions, on a crumbling indoctrination system, on, all of these things that their future generations are going to be affected by. I don't care if Jesus comes tomorrow. We should be involved as the ecclesia, as the public square, as the public assembly. We should be involved in every level of our society, and that includes politics. And there is nothing you can say to convince me otherwise, because my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, future generations are depending on our generation to fight back against. If we don't show up in government, somebody's going to show up. And I guarantee you they're not going to have the interests of the church at heart. They're not going to have the interests of the family at heart. They're not going to have the interests of the future at heart. And so they're going to destroy and crumble our society and our king and this kingdom. And this is the kingdom that God has placed us in, to uphold his constitution and the two constitutions of our government. And so as a mother, not just as a county board member or somebody who is avidly a lover of history and a lover of politics, as a mother, my role is to stand up for my children and their future. I'm not going to be here forever. Right. But if I don't work the hardest I possibly can to make the future a better and freer and more God-honoring place, then I'm like that person who should have a millstone around their neck and drowned in the ocean. I mean, that's how serious this is, guys. And you can try to spout little sections of scripture that say otherwise. But when Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's, what is Caesar's? It's not a whole lot, especially in America. We are Caesar. And so our future, our children, it is all dependent on what we're supposed to be doing to make sure that that God's kingdom is furthered and is expanded in this world. That's the command God gave us in the garden. And that was one of the first things that Adam and Eve did wrong, was that they stopped having dominion over the earth, and they stopped taking the responsibility that God gave them to tend his living creation. And we're in this mess today because we continue to have that mindset that we're somehow not supposed to be involved. And God gave us that command from the beginning. As the beginning family in the Garden of Eden, he gave the command to them to be fruitful and multiply and take dominion. Taking dominion means you make this universe work for you. Yeah. and ultimately work for God. And so that starts in the home, it starts in our local communities, and it starts in our churches and our local government. So there's my big rant.
I know I said mom, but I forgot when I tell you to talk about that, not only the mom, not only the politician, but the preacher also comes out. So when we look at it, right, for me, I got a radio show, and on my radio show, I made a statement on the radio show about how we had 462,990 people vote in the presidential election, but only 71,000 in the local election. And how, as churches, we let people that don't serve God in our pulpit during election season telling us to vote, but we won't use that same time to teach our people about government, the local government, and the power is not in the hands of the Republicans or the Democrats. It's in the hands of the people.
Yep, exactly.
And so some churches think that the power is in the hands of the sheep and not the shepherd. So if the shepherd doesn't do what the sheep want, they'll fire him. But if a politician don't do what the people want, they won't fire them.
Yeah.
And I try to figure to make that make sense, and then I realized it can't, because what I give you an example. As we look at our children, and I gotta send you this. It's gonna make you mad, but
oh goodness,
there's a book that they're reading to our children, and guess what the name of the book?
Something to do with socialism, the alphabet soup people. I don't know, something.
Yes, In My Daddy's Belly.
Lovely.
So, and I'm sitting there like, okay, you guys, this ain't bothering you guys. You guys you can't be that blind that you can't see or know what's really going on.
Yeah.
You chose to be blind.
Yeah. Okay, even Rome, at the height of its hedonism and just downright depravity, did not deny that there were men and women. Like, think about that.
I know.
I mean, you have Roman senators and you have Roman, the officials who would marry a woman to create heirs, but then would spend all of their time as pedophiles, basically. In their free time, they would spend as pedophiles, okay? So you have them at the height of their depravity and disgust, right? And yet they still understood there was a difference between men and women. Like, how is it that for thousands of years this has not been a problem? And then we get to this new and supposedly progressive age, and all of a sudden we've got what are we up to now? 90, 150 genders, something like that. I'm not even sure anymore because it changes every day.
I thought it was about 500. I'm not.
But here's the thing. Even in some of the depraved nations in Europe, and I'm not saying all of them are depraved, but in some of them that are very depraved in practice licentiousness, even they're looking at America and going, we've got two genders. What do we need more for? Like they may not have a moral compass, but they do understand science.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand what they're trying to say. Good morning. That's got to be somebody overseas.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying good morning.
If you say good morning, tell us where you from. Where you located?
Must be a humble position. So leadership must be a humble position with a just stance. Yes, that is very true.
Okay.
So so Benjamin Franklin actually made a comment about this when the founding fathers set up Congress and all of those things. When they set up the federal government, he stated very clearly that to choose to be a leader, a representative, or in federal government, you are voluntarily choosing to be a slave to the people. Right. He was not saying this was a laudable position. He was not saying this is the height of the American dream. You should strive to be in leadership. He was saying if you choose leadership, think about the scriptures when it talks about if you choose to be a teacher, you better be very, very careful because there's a higher standard for you, right? Like in the New Testament, when Paul is talking to people about choosing positions of authority in the church, you better be very darn sure that God called you to that position, and you better hold yourself to that standard, because if not, you are leading hundreds, maybe thousands of people astray, right? And nowadays it's hundreds, maybe millions of people astray, depending on where your authority is. So yes, there should be an automatic humility that comes with a leadership position. You do not take that position if you are going to use it to expand your power.
And whatever happened to is that J-Rod? Oh, Pippin, Justin. I mean,
Justin. Is that Justin?
Rustin.
Rustin, there you go. Hi, Rustin.
Okay.
It's been a long time, and I've been sleepless, so apologies.
I know. And then he's saying good morning, so I'm really trying to figure out. But you know, here's the thing. If all the so-called, and I don't want to say so-called, but everyone that's in politics, in government, that say they believe in Christ or accepted Christ, right?
Yeah.
If they would just do the one scripture, right? Do it as unto the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be a state representative, do it as unto the Lord.
Yeah, who are you answerable to ultimately? Yes, you're answerable to the people, but more than that, you're answerable to the higher authority. And here's a news flash, it's not the federal government.
But when I say do it as unto the Lord, that means I'm going to govern the people as unto God, right? I'm going to make decisions that's going to benefit the people.
Yep.
Because why? I'm doing it now as I am doing it unto the Lord. So in other words, so no shady deals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just the idea that people have where they'll state that that politics is different, so they have to make compromises in order to stay in their seats or in order to win votes, right? And it's like, no, politics isn't different. You are the public assembly just by virtue of being part of the church. If you claim Christ, you better, sorry, I'm getting a little bit fired up. You better be sure that he is your ultimate allegiance, right? Like, you cannot, I mean, here's the thing. People will argue, well, Christians shouldn't be in the public square. They shouldn't be in politics. They shouldn't be involved. And we can't legislate our morality, right? I'm sorry. Somebody is going to be legislating their morality, and if it's not the Christians, then I can guarantee you it's going to be somebody who doesn't have a Christ worldview. Exactly. And they can, an atheist can say I don't have a faith or I don't have a religion all they want, but their lack of belief in God is just as much of a religion as a belief in God. It's just the opposite end of things. You can reject God and it's going to completely alter your worldview, and that worldview does not match with how this world works, because it's not your universe, it's God's, right? Who is that preacher that said that? If you can be upset with God, you can be upset that this is, God's universe and God makes the rules and all of those things. You can be upset about that, but it's not your universe. And if you want to make your own rules and have your own morality and whatever the case may be, you got to get your own universe.
That's right. You got to go create you one. Which
exactly.
I don't think got to happen.
No.
Did you see God's Not Dead, the new one?
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet. It's on the list, Dr. King. It is on the list.
So how far did you get with it?
Oh, gosh. What are we on now? 5, 6? I think it was the one right before the newest one that came out is the one that we've stopped on.
Is that the one where the...
where they take the fight over their Christian school. The homeschool. They took it to Washington, D.C. They took the fight to Washington, D.C. That's the one we watched. Yeah.
Okay. The other one, In God We Trust.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm telling you, it is awesome. I
just am thrilled that the Newsboys are in the movies.
The who in the movies?
The Newsboys. It was the old music group. Now they've been through 5 different iterations of main singers. But yeah, I just love that the Newsboys are in there.
I know. I watched the movie about 4 times now.
Nice.
And I'm only gonna say this part about it, because I know you ain't watched it yet. So I'm only going to say this part about it.
Okay.
What we're talking about now, it's in the movie about
Is it?
is about believers running for office. Oh, it's you. I ain't gonna say no more. It's something. But when let me go this way because see, I done got excited about the movie. So let me slow down and get the movie out of my head. The importance that local government and what we need to understand as people of faith,
Yeah.
as well as people that don't have no faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you don't have faith in God, and that's okay, you don't have faith in God,
Right.
but you will see God if a godly person is in charge.
Yep.
You will benefit as well, just like we suffer when the ungodly are in charge. And so, for me, the more people we can educate, because wait, I got to do the math because you know I love the numbers, so I'm gonna do the math for you.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for this?
Okay.
391,990 people in the city of Milwaukee was not educated enough to focus on their local race.
Wow.
391,000 people didn't realize that the reason I got high taxes is because I didn't vote locally. The reason the crime is the way it is, I didn't vote locally. The reason the school board is messed up the way it is, because I didn't vote locally. The reason we still got potholes in our streets and the garbage can't get picked up is because I did not vote locally. Why everybody is upset and crying about the outcome of the election should be crying of the outcome of the spring election, because now rent is going to go up because they raised the property tax.
Yep.
And so when we start to look at this thing, right, our street lights ain't on. My water bill done got higher. Sale taxes done went up. I mean, as we go on and on and on about what we complain about our city, then we need to blame 391,990 people why we in the mess that we in today.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know who else? Since we on that round, we also need to blame pastors, non-circumcised Philistines in their pulpit, but didn't educate their people to vote locally.
Yep.
We need to blame them as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the only reason they allowed somebody in their pulpit because they thought they was going to get something. So now that person didn't win. So guess what? All of that was in vain. You can't get it now.
Yep, exactly.
But what you did do, we exposed ourselves that we was okay with a culture that was going to go against God.
Yep. Yep. And here's the thing. We're so consumer driven that we as a nation are more concerned about what our politicians will promise to give us than we are about what freedoms and rights we are giving up to get that stuff, right? Like this school board meeting, over, almost $500,000 was just voted on, and they voted yes. They completely steamrolled over us who are asking the questions, who's paying for it, right? But they don't even think, oh, this is coming out of my taxpayer dollars. In fact, they twisted the numbers just so that when somebody asked them, is this gonna, how's this gonna affect our taxes? They're like, oh, they're gonna go down because this, and this. Well, I'm sorry, as a county board member, I know that that's not true. Right. Because I see where the property taxes are coming in from. I see what's happening. Yes, it's redistributed among more people because we've expanded some, new properties, new buildings, whatever. But our taxes are still going to go up because you're asking for more money, and you're asking it from a fund that has no cap on the tax levy. And not one of these people who are complaining and arguing that they need this daycare so badly, not one of them asked, well, what's stopping you from charging us more?
But you know what's scary to me is the school system controlling that daycare.
Yeah. And do you know that the regulations for the daycare in the school system are different than, say, a private school care or daycare that is completely so highly regulated, especially now in this day and age, that it is almost impossible for them to stay open and make a profit. So we've had another way that they skew numbers, right? So they stated that since 1998, our private daycares have dropped by 75%. Okay, so that's 3/4 of the daycare in the area is gone. What I asked them and what I wanted to know was, one, why are we going back to 1998? That's not affecting any of us right here and now. Right. And two, how much of those daycares were shut down within the last 4 years? Because I guarantee you that 75% is going to look like 80 or 90% if you shorten those years up and just focus on the ones that affect the community in this day and age, right? And so it's just absolutely mind-boggling to me that these people, it shouldn't be mind-boggling because they've been through the public indoctrination system, and so they therefore don't know how to do math. And here's the fun thing, right? So I think it's like 20% of our high school students in our district can graduate being able to read at grade level and do math at grade level. 20%.
Well, you know what? Y'all got us beat because I think ours is at 9%. 9%. 9%.
Oh, we're beating Milwaukee. Hoo-hoo.
9%. But you're right though. When we start to look at what's the real issues, those issues are not federal. Those issues are local.
Yeah.
And if we allow public schools to get a good grip on childcare,
oh my gosh, then they've got them from birth to death. Look at that. They're already expanding their meal plans for these schools, right? They give them breakfast, they give them lunch. If they have after school activities, they give them dinner. So these kids are not even sitting around the family dinner table. Here was the other thing that they were talking about. Did you know the average amount that people spend on childcare is 36% of their income?
Yes.
36%, right? That is a huge amount. And when you normally take into consideration that one spouse is making more than the other, usually, obviously there's differences, but on a usual basis, you have one spouse making more than the other. 36% of the income is probably from the spouse making less. So if you get rid of that income and you have one parent stay home with the family and the one with the higher income works, you're saving 30, you're not saving 36%. You lost that 36% of the income, but you're not spending it on childcare. Right. Because that's all seriously, you're working to pay for childcare. And here's the thing. Why is it? Okay. And again, we can caveat this and say, okay, they're single parents. I get it. They have to work. And so their kids have to be, whatever the case may be. There's where we can talk about the jurisdiction of the church. What is the church and the local families doing to help these parents out, right? These single parents who are desperate for help. They want to be with their kids and they can't because they have to work because they're, whichever parent left or abandoned them, or they didn't have a, marriage or whatever the case may be. We can talk about all that because that's jurisdictionally, that's ecclesiastical jurisdiction, right? That belongs with the church. The church should be looking out for these families, orphans, widows, right? And we can count widows as being single mothers, even if the father is still alive and they're the ones who are the, full on custody of their kids. Those mothers or those fathers, whoever has the custody, they need to be taken care of.
Right.
That's not the government's job.
Right.
And we can talk about that, but when you talk about the fact that you are using one whole paycheck to just pay for childcare, you are leaving your children in the hands of Rome and expecting them to come out okay.
And knowing that when you give your children to Caesar, they coming out a Roman.
They come out as Roman citizens.
Yes.
Right.
And let's go back for a minute, because I see that mother part coming out of you. So let's
I'm like, why do you even have children if you're just handing them over to somebody else to raise? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
but I want to go back to the part where you was talking about how the church dropped the ball. Okay.
Yes.
Because the church used to be the social service.
Yeah.
And the church dropped the ball being the social service, because the church used to make sure that if the family didn't have nothing to eat, they cooked and the kids had something to eat that morning.
Yep.
Or after school, the church used to have an after school program where the kids can go there and eat a dinner, a meal, or whatever.
Sunday school was begun to help care for poor children whose families couldn't afford a private education. Sunday school, when we see Sunday school as it is today, that is not what they meant when they first started Sunday school. Sunday school was an actual education where they learned reading, writing, and arithmetic. But before that, they learned a moral standard in the holy word of God, right? So it was a foundational education within the concept of Christianity. But it wasn't just sitting it wasn't sitting at church on Sunday and just taking a whole bunch of coloring pages home with, Jesus feeding the 5,000. It was an actual education, and it was to help care for the poor in the community. That's what it was originally for. Right. So, we can talk about, the church let people fall through the cracks. We can talk about, they didn't do a good job because, what about the orphans and the widows and all of these things? It's like they did a better job than the government. And yes, we can generalize and say that not all of the church is perfect. Obviously, we're imperfect people and we don't. But if you put the power of the government over the children, you lose freedom, you lose your future, you lose the generations to come, right? Mm-hmm. It is in the church that we are supposed to be. Do you realize the church at one time, when they heard that a father was abusing their child, the men of the church would go to that man and lay the smack down and say, you mess with these kids and you will be standing before an ecclesiastical body for judgment, right? Like that was what it was. We didn't need CPS because we had the church, the men of God who were standing up and saying, you do not treat your family this way, right? Again, that's a very general view. Obviously, there were churches that did not do that let men abuse their wives and men abuse their children, whatever the case may be. But if we're going to be going based on the exceptions to the rule, then we've already lost, right? The church, that was the church's responsibility, was to help, not police, but to help hold the men of their church accountable, to hold the families accountable, because the higher law came first and our self-government came first before the civil law. That's right.
And so we need to have a come to Jesus moment with the church and say, hey, we dropped the ball. We missed it. And and the thing about it is, when we look at it, we got to look at it from both sides. My tongue is getting tired. Both sides.
I mean, it's been a crazy week.
Already, and so when we look at it, right, we got to look at it on what we know that we as the bodies should be doing, but the danger also of what happens when we don't do it. Because with these public school daycares, they're starting indoctrinating 2 years old, because they're going to try to
0 to 3. Usually it's like 0 to 3, 0 to 5 years old.
Right.
Is the number they're looking at, because then after that, obviously they're in preschool and kindergarten.
Right. So when we start to look at that, see, there she go. Look at it.
There are laws against public exhibitionism and indecent exposure in public, because it's a danger to children. You'd have to look on the constitutions and the statutes, but you could look that up, Stacey. There are definitely laws against it. Now, they might be able to find loopholes, but
But
As
here's
far
the
as I know, those statutes are still on the books.
right. But here's the thing, though. You can complain about this stuff, but if you don't change the guards in your local government, do you
Exactly.
actually think they're gonna turn on themselves? I ain't never seen, and I'm 63 years old.
Yeah.
And I never seen a leader in anything punish themselves.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. In fact, the school board just gave themselves a raise.
Same
Like, I've been on the county board for 4 years and I've not given myself a raise. Like, I'm still getting paid the same amount, and it's a pittance. It's just basically just enough to cover, gas.
Listen, same thing in Milwaukee. The mayor of them gave themselves a raise, and
They don't need a raise. That's the thing. If somebody was performing the way they performed in their job in the private sector, they'd fire their butts faster than you could say Santa Claus.
I know,
Like,
right? And the thing about it,
like,
I never
honestly,
got a raise. I never got a raise for poor performance.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait a minute, I take that back. Yes, I did. They raised me right out the door. That's what
Yeah,
they did.
exactly. Put a boot in your butt and they sent you out.
Going out of here, And
Yeah,
so,
that's the thing. In any other position, if you are a poor performer and you don't do the job you've been given to do, you lose it. And
right.
here we just keep not only re-voting these bozos into office, but we keep giving them more money for it. It's like we are literally paying for our own destruction. I mean, think about that. Our taxpayer dollars are going to the destruction of our nation, our communities, our homes, our livelihoods, everything. We're paying for our destruction.
And the sad part about it is this: we don't want the responsibility of holding them accountable.
Yeah.
So we just let them do whatever.
Yeah, because we think, oh, we voted them into office. They're supposed to do their thing now, right? Our job is done. We did the election.
Right. And so it's funny because the people we voted in office, and I'm talking about locally, had the same education you had. So what makes them smarter?
Yeah.
They're not the same neighborhood you did. So what make them smarter?
Yeah.
Well, they know better. What's the experience? Same experience they had as you had. This is why even our mayor, who never been in business, never ran a business, never did anything with business, raised sales tax, didn't realize how it was going to hurt businesses.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't even have to be a businessman to know the math of that doesn't add up. It's the problem is that they haven't learned the math.
Right.
So they're like, oh, more money, more revenue into the government, so we can solve all of the problems that we ourselves created. That works.
I know, right? I remember who was it? Einstein says, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting something different, you're insane.
Yep.
You're totally insane, right?
It is the definition of insanity. Yep.
So how do we feel as individuals that these people ain't done nothing in 4 years, and we're talking locally now?
Yeah.
They haven't done nothing in 4 years, and then they come and knock on your door again and say, vote for me, I'm going to do. But you haven't done.
Yeah, I know. It was just like Kamala's whole campaign was based on, I'm going to, make change. I'm going to do new things. And you're like, but you're still in office now. Why can't you do it now? You've had 4 years to do this.
But that's like saying, I need you to vote for me. I'm not going to cheat. I mean, I need you to marry me. I'm not going to cheat on you.
Yeah.
Then I cheat on you. And then we say, happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Let's just think we got this beautiful man. We forgot I just cheated. So we got this beautiful marriage.
Yep.
Then I go and cheat again. Now it's anniversary time again. Happy anniversary, baby. Then I cheat again. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
when are you gonna get tired of this, right?
Right, exactly. And this is where we get the whole mentality of a victim mindset, right? You think of a textbook abuse victim. They will stay in that relationship and they will even defend that relationship against anybody who challenges it, right?
Right.
And it's such a sad mindset because they don't even realize how deeply wounded they are, right? And
Right.
it doesn't just work in individual relationships. It works on a government level. When you have a government that is gaslighting you and manipulating you and lying to you over and over and over again, for whatever reason, you feel like you have to just stick it out and grit your teeth and bear it, right? And it's so ridiculous because, and Jefferson, this is why I love the founding fathers, because they were so, I don't even want to say prophetic, but they were so insightful in human nature. They understood human nature so well. He said, in the Declaration of Independence, he stated that while evils are sufferable, we are willing to suffer them, right?
Yeah.
And it takes a whole lot of suffering for us to finally go, ooh, this burns a little bit too much. We're kind of like frogs that way, right? You put them in cold water and you start boiling them up slowly, and they don't even realize they're dead until the water's boiled over, right?
Right.
And that's the problem with human nature, is that we we get ourselves into, we fall into, we jump headfirst into, whatever you want to say, depending on the person, into this mess of a system, and until it hurts too much, we're not willing to do anything. And I think that's why we saw what we saw on Tuesday night. Now, I'm not going to, you know me, I will never say that the federal government is going to solve all our problems.
Oh no.
What I do know, though, is that there was a referendum that went out across the nation going, we saw 4 years of the conservative movement. We saw 4 years of the leftist movement. And we know that the leftist movement is going to destroy us. The conservatives, they are not perfect. They're not going to fix everything, but they sure as heck are going to do a better job than what we just went through for 4 years.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Here's the thing. I did earlier today. I did a research to see the breakdown of the races, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the amazing thing was the Latinos, 2020 voted for Biden.
Yep.
Okay.
Overwhelmingly so, yeah.
And it dropped 13% on Kamala Harris,
Yeah.
but they 13% went over and went to Trump.
Yep.
So the Latino votes, the Asians vote was high for Biden, then went down on Kamala and went up on Trump, and then guess who else? The others, and I think that's the Muslim community or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They voted high for Biden, low for Kamala,
yeah,
high for Trump.
Yeah, think about that. In the same, there was a district, I'm trying to remember, was it in Michigan or? Yeah, Dearborn, where there was almost an equal population of Jews and Muslims, and they voted overwhelmingly for Trump. That is the first time you get Jews and Muslims in unity over anything.
Right, and what made it so bad, it was, I was like, okay, why did this happen, right? Especially with the Muslims and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they showed 2 clips. The first clip, when she was in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
She sided with Gaza.
Yeah.
When she got to Philadelphia, she sided with Israel.
Yeah, exactly.
And they was like, wait a minute, you just said.
Yeah.
And then you get on a plane and fly to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're saying, I'll support Israel. So either you supporting Israel or you supporting Gaza.
Yeah.
And
you can't support both. You cannot support 2 opposing sides with any amount of integrity. I mean, you look at the entire worldview. But here's the thing: you look at the population here, the American Muslims, the American Jews, they realize there is a mess going on in the Middle East. They want nothing to do with it, and they realize if we vote for the left, both of us are going to be destroyed, right? They're not looking at, so it's like, maybe it's the enemy of my enemy is your friend or something, but it was just fascinating when you look at this. And then what was the other one? There was the higher population of Hispanic men voted overwhelmingly for Trump. And you're looking, because they're so sick and tired of being beaten down. And so then, and immediately as as you're seeing all of these news media sites analyzing these numbers, and what do they immediately jump to? You're a racist. You're a white supremacist because you voted for Trump. And you're thinking, this is exactly why we voted for Trump, because we're sick and tired of you guys calling us garbage and deplorables and racists and bigots, when we just want the freedom to live our lives here and not have you lying to us over and over and over again.
And then I saw one where a Latino guy, he was gay, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He was told, don't you go to no rallies.
Yeah.
They hate you.
They're going to destroy you. Yeah.
They'll destroy you. He said he went to the rally and received nothing but love and compassion. And so when he went back to say, I think I'm going to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
The left side called him names, threatened him, and everything.
Yeah.
I was expecting to get that from this side.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, think RFK Jr., right? He's his whole family have been staunch Democrats their entire life, and they've completely ostracized him because of the choice that he made to support Trump. But you look at him when he walked onto that stage at that Trump rally to throw his support behind Trump. He was expecting, maybe some lukewarm, oh, thanks for coming, whatever. He got a standing ovation.
Right.
Not because he's RFK Jr., but because he saw the light and realized this is the party that loves its neighbor, that wants to live a free and just life, wants to raise their families, and they have the foundational values that hold us together as a nation. We can share those. We may not agree on all of the details and what government should do and not, right? But we can agree on the value.
I got to stop you because, see, this is the part I love, right? Wisconsin voted for Tammy Ball, who is a known lesbian in a relationship with a woman.
Yep.
And gave her seat back. And then Trump ended up winning the state.
Yep.
Okay?
It was so close, too. Oh, my gosh.
But wait a minute. In the states that had put abortion on the referendum on their ballot,
yep,
won the referendum for the abortion, and they voted for Trump.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there like, wait. How is it that North Carolina, Democrats won the governor's seat, but Trump won the state?
Yeah. So you know what this is? This is the sad part, and this is exactly what we're talking about local elections, state senators. That I would say those aren't local, but they're still closer to us than the federal government, right? What happens is you've got a whole bunch of people who vote Republican at the top, and then down ballot, they either don't vote at all or they vote Democrat to balance the system, whatever the heck that means, right? And so that's where you're getting these referendums that are passing, because you're like, wait a minute, you voted for the majority of us voted for Trump. How is it that we have this amount of people who voted for this referendum, right?
Right.
And then the other thing is that what was I going to say?
Well, you know where they messed up at?
Yeah.
When they try to use hate to win the election.
Yeah.
You use that with Biden. It wasn't going to work this time.
Yeah. Right? Well, I mean, we were right before the election. Biden comes out and literally calls Trump supporters garbage. Like, I mean, how bad can you get? I mean, what were you expecting from that? You know?
Right. And the thing about it is, and the thing that I look at is, and I tell people is this election, if you notice, if you go back and watch all of my shows that I've done, all of my service at the church that I preached, all the shows I did on the radio, I never endorsed any candidate. What I was telling the people is it's the culture that you guys got about to vote in.
Yeah.
And with one culture, everybody got sick and tired. You know what I heard most about somebody that say they didn't vote for her? I'm sick of a man going into the bathroom with my daughter. I'm sick of a man playing a girl sport. I'm sick of a man. And one gave an illustration how a man was playing volleyball on the girl volleyball team and broke the girl face with a spike. The man boxing a girl in the octagon and beating her half to death.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so
this was what this election did, I think, honestly, is, and it was interesting because the next day, you know, I was feeling pretty even keel the whole day as I was working the polls and everything like that. The next day when we stayed up late and we watched, you know, as they were counting them all in, and we watched when he finally, you know, got the over 270 and everything. And it just like, I didn't have this overwhelming, oh my gosh, it's so great, we're going to be saved. You know, it wasn't that at all. It was that God just mercifully gave us an extension on a nation that has yet to repent and turn their faces back toward him, right? Yeah. We have a whole lot of people who made a decision for freedom that do not understand where that freedom originates from.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it, right? Like, I'm relieved that God gave us that mercy, because it gives us 4 more years to really get down in the weeds and start educating and continue educating and informing and bringing those 3 constitutions back to the minds of the people. Exactly. So that, one, they know the word of God is where we got our foundational principles from to even begin this nation, and 2, our state constitution supersedes our federal constitution, except for a few enumerated authority jurisdictions in the powers in the Constitution itself, right? But our state constitution gives us, we the people, so much power. And if we start like getting people aware once again of flipping the system back on its head where it belongs,
right?
You know, we've got 4 more years to really dive into that, because it was a mercy. It was definitely a mercy. We don't deserve this.
Right. And the thing about it is, for those that's watching and listening, when she say 3 constitution, I know y'all probably saying, what 3 constitution? She's talking about the Bible, which is the constitution for the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
She's talking about your state constitution and your federal constitution. And so you guys got to and I keep telling people, quit saying you're a democracy, because you're not. You're a constitution.
It's not. I know. Even Fox News was going on and on about their, what was it, their democracy, 2024 democracy or something like that. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is why we have so many problems in our nation. We don't know who our God is, and we don't know that we are not a democracy.
Right. And the thing about it is, you know, I looked. And as I was watching the numbers come in and everything, I said to myself, if he get Pennsylvania, it's over.
Yeah.
And he won Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And when he won that county in Pennsylvania, that county always chose that president, because they showed it how the county chose Obama.
Yep, it's the Bellwether County or whatever they call them.
Yeah. And so when I started to look at that, and I'm sitting there like, okay, all right. And then all of a sudden, Pennsylvania, I was like, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
It's a done deal. I said, he won Pennsylvania, he's finna win Wisconsin and Michigan.
Yep.
And sure enough,
Yep.
but the thing about it is, you're right. God has showing us so much mercy and grace
Mhm.
because of the fact that what we end up doing as a people is we are not acknowledging Him.
Right. Exactly.
And and so when you look at it, we acknowledge money, we acknowledge self gain, we
Yep.
we acknowledge all of those things,
Yep.
but we never stop to acknowledge God. We as believers, the Bible says, in all our ways acknowledge God. We
Acknowledge
didn't
him. Yep.
acknowledge God. Who do you want me to support in this campaign? We didn't
Yep.
say, we didn't go to God. We just said, I'm a Democrat and I'm a Republican, and that's all I'm gonna do. Okay,
Yeah.
but did you ask him that's what he wants from us?
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping in mind that we're not voting for the ecclesiastical pastor, right? We're voting for a man who's very flawed. We're
Right.
voting for a man whose character is questionable.
But
and we're also voting for a man who has made it his business the last how many years to fight for what is right.
But you know what? I'm waiting for a ecclesiastical preacher or woman of God to run for those kind of seats,
Yeah.
so we can see. Like I said, I love doing. Since I did my first one, I can't wait for the next one. Anybody want to get married? Call me. I love doing the ecclesiastical weddings. I
Yeah.
love it because I don't have to. I don't have to go along with the state doing the marriage. I can do it and set it up the way I want to set it up and do it and have fun and and so when I did the couple, I said, first we need to meet for coffee before I marry you. And when we met, I said, you know why I wanted us to meet? And they said, no.
Mhm.
I said, I wanted to make sure I was marrying a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Because I'm not coming to do a wedding of two men or two women.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to make sure I'm doing man and woman.
Yeah.
And they was laughing at me. They was like, oh, okay. But the thing about it, if I'm gonna line up to do it God's way, I gotta do
Yeah.
everything God's way.
Exactly.
Okay. So even doing business, a school, political,
Mhm.
everything we do. And this is the part where I think we don't get or we don't recognize or we don't realize. I don't run around with the Bible in my hand telling people you're going to hell, you're going to hell.
Mhm.
I told them God through my life.
Yeah.
And how I do things.
Yeah.
So we over there.
Stacey, Trump did not win Door County. I noticed that on the map. That was one of the places that he did not get.
Oh, she was like, oh, she asked, did he get it? Okay. So, but the beauty is January 20th. And before January 20th, we still need to repent and ask God to forgive us for going along with stuff that he does not agree with. And so,
Yeah.
I believe that what we need to do is continue to teach. That's why I'm glad we got our show back.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to get people to come to Christ.
Yeah.
Continue to fight for the rights of our children and our grandchildren. Continue to acknowledge God, because the Bible said the righteous exalts a nation. So we just gotta continue to to do that. So I'm excited. Are you pulling up your quote for the night?
I am. I've been looking at different ones, but this one's going to be a short one. But again, it's a reminder that we do have 3 constitutions. So yeah. So whenever we're ready, I'm good.
All righty. So I'm going to put you on the screen. Bam. Handle your business.
All right. So in the Treaty of Paris, which was the ending of the war, the Revolutionary War, between King George III in Britain and the American colonies, right? The very first line that started the entire treaty was this: in the name of the most holy and undivided Trinity. So think about that. In their treaty to end the war that divided them from one another and made America its own nation, they first and foremost acknowledged that there was a holy Trinity, that it was God, right? That started the whole thing and ended the whole thing. And we need to remember that our founders did have a full understanding of who was the highest form of government and who they owed their allegiance to above everyone else, which is part of the reason why they originally broke from Great Britain, because Great Britain was assuming that the divine right of kings was what was superseding God, right? And so let's remember that we are almost 250 years out. And on average, an empire lasts about 250 years. Now, America is not your typical empire because it's run by the people, for the people, of the people, right? It's not run by an oligarchy, although we've gotten pretty darn close to that as well. It's not run by a monarch. It's not run by an aristocracy. Again, it was started by our acknowledgement that there was a God above every human government on earth, and that we, the people, had a right and a duty to self-govern, and then to put a government in place that we would both restrain and we would honor as long as it stayed in its proper jurisdiction and place under Almighty God. And so, yeah, we have a lot of work to do, guys. The election has passed. We have several important dates coming up where the electoral college sends their slate of electors to basically certify the election. That's in December. And in January 20th, we have an inauguration. God be with Trump and his team as they prepare for this and prepare their transition, praying for no more assassination attempts or anything else like that. But our work as citizen overseers and as kingdom citizens has just begun. This isn't the end of things, it's the beginning, and we have a lot of work to do to not take for granted the mercy that God's given us through this election. So anyway.
All right. So mine is going to come from my book. I think that would be what's the word I want to use? Appropriate.
There you go.
So it's coming out of my book. It's called, Living Out Kingdom Culture in Daily Life. All right. Living according to the kingdom culture is not limited to spiritual practice or church-related activities. It is a way of life that affects every aspect of a believer's existence. And here are some key areas of kingdom culture should be evidenced: family, work, community, government, educations, and arts. We as believers have to understand and realize that as kingdom citizens, it is our duty to God to get involved in every area of the world system that is alive and well right now. And if we do not, then nothing will change.
Exactly.
And I heard a preacher say, God cannot if you will not. So that means God can't change it if you're not willing to go. So we have to be the ones that says, here I am, send me to education. Here I am, send me to government. Here I am, send me to entertainment. Here I am, send me to media. Wherever we should be like Isaiah says, here I am, send me. And so we encourage everyone to study all three constitutions so you can know your rights. We encourage everyone to forgive one another, show the love of God to one another, no matter who you voted for. Let's restore our foundation of our community first, and then let us come together to build a better city, a better state, and a better nation.
Yep.
And so we're excited. We'll let y'all know what day we're going to do next week. We're not going to tell y'all right now, but we are doing one next week. You know, we're going to keep this going unless Stacy, we might not do one, Stacy, unless you come with some pine cone. We ain't going to do anything. But we want to thank you guys again. We try to stay an hour because we can go 2 and 3 hours, but we're going to keep, we're gonna keep it an hour so that way we can get this on. It'll be on Apple tomorrow morning. It'll be on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all the major podcasts. It'll be on there, so you guys can go back and get. Again, you need to get the book. Get the book. This is a powerful book. Did you get yours?
I have to stop at the post office and pick it up because for some reason they wouldn't deliver it because I was out of the house and I don't know. Anyway, so I've got to stop tomorrow and pick it up.
Okay. But y'all get this book. It is powerful. I promise you. And starting November the 16th, we have what's called Kingdom Citizens Academy. It is a 12-week academy learning on the kingdom of God. The course is only $25. And after the end of the 12 weeks, you will get a certificate of citizenship in the kingdom of God. And
Nice.
So I am looking forward to it. And I want you guys to come on out and see us. So this is Dr. David King with the Constitutional Queen, a.k.a. Mama Bear. She'll bite y'all. Y'all better straighten up. Until next week, God bless.